thinking to themselves, is this the course for me? Is my background suitable? Maybe I haven't studied for a while. Maybe I've got lots of professional experience or little professional experience. Is this course suitable for my background? And the answer is absolutely yes. So this course is for you if you are future focused and you want to transform society through developing sustainable solutions in any sector, industry, government, consultancy, UN, NGO, NPOs, and whatever background you may be from. So we have students from arts history, from architecture, from really specific soil monitoring and all different areas of science, to engineering, to urban design. And we see that diversity as a strength. So this student is for students from any disciplinary background across science, arts, leadership, business, history, fashion. There are opportunities for you to upskill into our specializations and add that layer onto professional background and knowledge. And this is a course that essentially aims to help you become a strategic leader in an area of society that means something to you, giving you an area of expertise, or the T in the T-shaped professional, plus this boundary spanning or interdisciplinary aspect that's going to make you effective in making change. So the complex issues of our time, like water security, like climate change, like food security, we know they can't be solved by one discipline, one sector, one nation alone. But we need innovative people, strategic people who are able to cross boundaries of discipline, country, and sector. And so as well as developing skills and knowledge in a particular area of expertise, we also give you an interdisciplinary foundation to underpin your move into transformational leadership. And when I'm at the UN or I'm speaking to employers in government, industry, consultancy, or research, this interdisciplinary layer is highly prized. It allows you to lead complex intersectorial and international teams to approach big issues like water security, renewable energy transitions, waste issues, poverty and inequality, all those things related to the UN Sustainable Development Goals. So the degree layers expert knowledge in a specialisation of your choice, and I'm going to introduce those specialisations later, with this boundary spanning training to make you more effective as a change agent in any area that you want to move into. So why is this degree so important and why was it developed? Well, I think if you're in this room right now, you probably have an understanding that we are in a period of accelerating, unprecedented global environmental, social and economic change. Now we have a government, industry and a general public who are starting to understand that issues like climate change and water security are a major threat to all sectors of society, all industries and everything that we're going to be doing going forward. And that we can't rely on business as usual approaches given how rapidly things are changing. Rather, we need innovative leaders like yourself who are going to use their disciplinary expertise and layer upon that a specialisation in sustainability to be able to communicate, negotiate, change behaviours, change business, to find new solutions in using their skills as a T-shaped professional. So some of you might be mitigating change, you know, through the government, looking at environmental processes. Others may like to work in adaptation, looking at how development communities or local communities can respond and deal with things like rising sea level. Others might be around understanding and forecasting the risks for a big corporate organisation, for example. We're all going to be working in different areas, but pulling in the same direction. And that's a beautiful thing about this course. We have a cohort with lots of diversity, which is a strength, but we're all like-minded in pulling in the same direction in the spirit of SDG 17, Partnerships for the Goals. All right, so it's a course for everyone. We've got a really nice mini UN feel in the program, professionals, people from all countries, all backgrounds. What I've got up on screen right now is a little snapshot from our website, just to let you know that this course is not just taught by one department or one group of academics. It is co-developed and co-taught, utilising all of Monash University's research strengths in the area of environment sustainability. So you have access to cutting-edge research from faculties of business and economics, arts and ethics, science, the Monash Sustainable Development Institute, but also all of our partners, including the UN Sustainable Development Solutions Network, the EPA, EY, Deloitte, and areas like that. So you really get into contact with a broad network of people, and This also allows you to find your niche. A lot of the students that I meet know that they want to carve out a path for themselves in sustainability. They have a passion for sustainability, and they use the course to understand which sector or upskill or area is going to suit them and align, you know, with their growing identity as a sustainability professional. And I might pause here and say, I'm going to introduce the 5 specializations we offer shortly, but it's very, very common to not know exactly which one you want to do yet. And in our 2-year program, you can actually taste a couple of the specializations, and a lot of students use the program to understand further their goals, the environments they're going to enjoy working in, you know, as a government, as a corporate, as a consultancy, and you can actually choose your specialization, you know, later in the first year of your course after tasting a few options. A lot of the specializations are complementary, so you can cross them over to a degree as well. So if you don't know which if you've had a look at our website already, you really like the specializations, but you don't know which one's for you just yet, don't worry. That's part of orientation, course mapping meetings you'll have with our team throughout your program. And also there are options to select across the specialization, so you can taste and choose and really tailor that program to you. All right, just gonna move this chat box out of the way so I can see you better. All right, as I mentioned before, who is this course for? It's actually for anyone who's future focused and looking for maybe a career change, to upskill, more meaningful work. It's for everyone and anyone. Almost any bachelor degree can lead you into one of our 5 emerging specializations. And we have students who are quite professionally experienced in sustainability, students who have some professional experience, not in the field, but also we have students straight out of the bachelor degree. So our cohort is amazingly diverse from all backgrounds, all levels of professional experience. I would say currently about 1/3 have significant professional experience, 5 to 25 years from a field of sustainability, and might be studying part-time while they work and looking to make a move up the career ladder. 1/3 are about straight out of undergrad, and 1/3 are out of a previous master's or previous professional experience, but in an area outside of sustainability. So they're really making that career move. So there's lots of options. And we have 45 different countries represented in the cohort, from Cambodia to Canada, from Africa to Russia, which makes us feel like a mini UN and is a great learning experience and networking experience in itself. So wherever you may be around the world, there'll be at least a couple of students from your area within the program to welcome you. And we have a cohort of around 50% domestic Australian students and 50% from other areas of the world, which is really nice as well. Alrighty. What I'd like to just briefly touch on next is something that many students in the course really enjoy. We really believe in developing in you the skills, tool sets and knowledge to be able to be a sustainability leader, but we also think that experiential learning or learning through experience is going to be a crucial part of your development. So a particular strength of this course is our advanced practice capstone units, which we call Part D. And that's where you apply the theory and the skills and the learning developed earlier in the program in a professional context with real industry partners or government partners or research partners as suits you. And we feel this is crucial for you to develop the skills you'll need for your career to make real change in the world, whether that's shifting behaviour, transforming a sector, or whatever it may be. All right, so now I'd like to just go through, actually I'll take one step. No, I'll come back. I'll take one step back. I'll just say with the capstones, we recognise that our wonderful students in this program have many different aspirations and passions. And so we offer actually 4 different types of capstones. So for those who are looking for a pathway to a PhD, there is a thesis capstone, which you can do in any of the faculties or areas, from business to medicine to science to social science. So that's a wonderful option to follow one of your passions. We also, of course, have internships with any of our 500 partners, or if you have specific needs, we help place you based upon what you let us know is of interest to you, or you can find your own internship as well. We certainly provide some help there. For others, another option is particularly relevant for those who are interested in consultancy work, is we have an industry consultancy unit where you are paired with a real industry or government client with a real problem, And through the unit, you actually develop the skills to act as that client, to create the proposal, to create the briefing, to create the solution, and actually deliver an output to the client by the end. So that's a great experience for some students. And then we also have more of a group project where you choose a topic and produce a report for government, for example. So we have 4 different options to suit everyone's goals in that space. So just quickly, this is our course structure. And I'll just say here, this is what I'm about to show you now is just a rough guide. But of course, there is flexibility to tailor this program really to the skills that you want. So we actually meet with you individually to do a course map that is going to build skills for your particular aspirations. But in brief, in short, this is the general model. The full 2-year program is 96 credit points, with each full-time semester being 24 points. And the course is divided into 4 different parts that increase in the application, increase in the sophistication. So you have this progression as you go through the program. Part A is that interdisciplinary foundation where you really get an understanding of all 5 of our specializations, and you put the T on the T-shaped professional so that you're more effective across boundaries. After this foundation, you move into your specialization. And if you're making a big shift, say from science to corporate sustainability or from policy to science, you actually have 24 points to play with to really prepare you for that big move. You then specialize in one of our 5 streams, which are listed up there, and I'll introduce to you in a moment. And then, as mentioned at the end, it's the most applied, authentic practice component where you're actually applying everything you've learned in an interdisciplinary sense and in a specialist sense to solve a real-world problem. So that's the course in a nutshell. Now, if you have an undergraduate degree that actually aligns with your specialization and provides good preparation for your specialization, you can essentially get credit to skip Part B, which would make your course, rather than 2 years, 1.5 years if you choose to study full-time. You can study part-time, of course, and that shortens the duration for students. So we can talk about credit a bit later if you like. Just to give you an example, here is a potential course map for a student in a 72 credit point or 1.5 year program. Now, this student is taking our interdisciplinary foundations right up front in blue that I mentioned earlier that cut across our specializations. The first teaches you evidence-based practices for decision-making in any sector you want to work in. The second gives you perspectives on sustainability, different stakeholder views, how to deal with them, how government work, how business work. And across this, you've got a really beautiful foundation to work with. This student has chosen the environment and sustainability, environmental security specialization. They don't need to do the prep. They move straight into their 18-point specialization, which is listed here. So they'll be learning to do regional biodiversity assessments, climate change mapping, and water security and environmental pollution assessments, both learning the technical, but also learning as part of that unit, more importantly, how to feed evidence in decision making. Now in Part C, this student has an elective option, and what they've chosen here is actually a unit from another specialization, leadership, because they want to develop their own leadership capacity. So you've got an elective option there, which can be a unit from any other specialization. In the capstone, this student wants to do an internship at the Department of Environment, Land, Water and Planning, for example. They've moved into an internship. They have 2 more elective spaces. They want to develop geographical information system skills, but also they want to take a business unit just to understand the business environment and regulatory structure. So you can see here, this student's got 3 different electives just to build skills that suit them. Maybe they're planning for a career in governance, being a technical expert, or maybe in consultancy, for example. So it can be very tailored to you. I know I just ran through an absolute storm of information. You may be feeling a little bit overwhelmed with that. So I'll just pause to see if there are any questions from the group. You know, feel free to shout out. You can unmute or put in the chat. All queries are most welcome. No silly queries as well. I'll just mention here some resources too that you can use to follow up. And I think, Michaela, we might be able to send the slides to the group later so that you can click into these details. But here are some links that may assist you. We've got the course website, which is a beautiful little overview, I suppose, of the course structure. We have course planning and mapping resources if you really want to start choosing units that are going to suit where you want to be. And we've got specialisation and unit information if you're thinking about different streams. And of course, down the bottom, we've got information on how to apply. So hopefully we'll be able to send these slides to you later, so you can just click into these and get a really good overview. So if there are no questions, and do feel free to put these in the chat if you would like, I might just jump in really quickly now to introduce our 5 specialisations. And for each of our specialisations, as well as me as course director there to help you throughout the program whenever you need, you also have a specialisation coordinator who's going to help you map your course in that particular specialisation. So I'll run through the 5 specialisations now. First up, we have corporate environment sustainability management. This tends to attract students who would like to be a strategic leader, helping to build strategy in big corporations or middle-sized corporations or in consultancy, or those who are also interested in B Corps and startups. In this specialisation, you learn about transformation and management in the current corporate environment, including lots of industry guests, and also how sustainability measurement works in different corporate environments, in addition to how policy and governance intersects for sustainability regulation. So you're exploring social, ecological, and economic challenges associated with corporate social responsibility and more. And you're also learning how to lead strategies and initiatives with that awareness of measurement and regulation in the corporate environment. So some of our graduates have worked in places like Australian Post, Westpac, EY, Tesla, few of those areas, but they also are owners of small businesses and startups and B Corps. The next specialisation is environment and governance, and this tends to attract students that really see themselves making systemic change and serving society through policy and regulation. This can be frustrating work from time to time, but it can be absolutely transformational. So this attracts students who want to work at local councils, through to state government, through to national government, even UN and intergovernmental bodies. In this unit, you learn how environmental issues are analysed in a government environment, so EIA, things like this. You also work with the community. So for example, in field studies in environment and governance, you'll actually go out and talk to the to members of the public, talk to government, and be doing surveys and work like that that feed into governance processes. And you'll also be learning how to read and write policy, which is really critical. So this gives you an understanding of the dynamic processes required for a responsible action at different scales of government, how government works, and how you can enable change from those platforms. So our students work at places like the Department of Environment, Land, Water and Planning, and all the different areas, through from diversity and inclusion, through to energy transformation, to biodiversity, all the different areas. They also work in Canberra, they also work in UN areas, also Melbourne Water, Yarra, Riverkeepers, EPA, in a range of areas. They do say some of this specialisation is sometimes a little bit dry, but it's exactly the tools that they're using in their work currently. So sometimes policy is dry, but definitely transformational. Our next specialisation is international development, and this attracts students who want to work in places like World Bank, not-for-profit organisations, UN development, for example, and really working in a development context, perhaps with community leaders, perhaps in participatory models, to create resilience and adaptation in those environments to things like climate change, but also equity, also sanitation. It's really giving you the tools to plan and implement change, government programs, also on the ground localized programs, and really giving you a deep understanding of politics, environmental issues, and how development works practically in different contexts. So students work in a broad range of countries and organisations in that space. This specialisation, and I touched on this one in the example, is environmental security. And this is for people who see themselves as being the technical expert in consultancy, government, even research, even business. The person who gets the data and can integrate it into decision making and communicate it accurately to guide the management protection of the natural environment. In this unit, you do 3 units. The first will help you learn how to do a biodiversity assessment in any region or country in the world professionally. The next helps you understand climate change data and modelling energy transitions and feed that into government consultancy or business human security issues. And the last allows you to be able to assess water quality, water security issues, and environmental pollution issues, which you do in a field component right at the end, but also how you integrate that into decision-making and organisation. So in these units, yes, you're getting some of the science and the background and some of the skills that you'll need, but equally, each of the units is also about how you integrate this into decision-making to make change outside the lab. So this is a great one, and our students work in, across all the different areas, you know, big business, small business, councils, government, consultancy, and research as well. So this is people who see themselves as the technical expert, really taking science out of the lab to make a difference in the world. And the last specialisation is really interesting, and it's called Leadership for Sustainable Development. And this tends to attract people who are just ready to get started. They want to make change now. And in each of the units, you'll be designing complex interventions using change management theory, behaviour change theory, brought in from our experts in Behaviour Change Lab, in Climate Works, which are bodies associated with Monash. And really, it's giving you the theory to create interventions that make change. So, for example, you'll be working on you might be working on a project to design a new green and more effective transport system for Melbourne, taking into consideration complex stakeholder dimensions, complex environmental, social and economic issues. The first unit shows you processes and theories to make change. The second unit focuses a little bit more on human behaviour change. We all know sustainability is a human problem more than anything else, and how you change that. So it's a really interesting one. And the last unit is developing you with a little edge of executive education as a leader, and really tapping into your style of leadership, whether you're going to be leading the community, leading within an organisation, or in any other way. So that's just a flavour. I just want to reassure you again, you don't have to know your specialisation right away. We work with you throughout your program to map your course plan, and you can change each semester of your course as you go through, as those passions emerge from you, as you dip into the sustainability issue and the breadth of it more through this program. We also do this at orientation. And we have lots of resources on our enrolment website that we can direct you to after this, so you can get started and start talking to us about tailoring this to where you'd like to go. In terms of the eligibility for the course, we're looking for an undergraduate degree with at least a 60% or credit average in general, or other experiences of qualifications. If your specialisation aligns with your undergraduate degree, then you are likely eligible for a 1.5-year duration, skipping Part B of the program, and we're really happy to help you explore credit options. So just to wrap up, and I'm going to open up to your questions very soon, some features of our program: we enable you to move in to one of our 5 forward-thinking specialisations from your place, from your background. If it's a new area for you, you can upskill into that area. You also have elective spots, so you can mix and match the specialisations. There are 3 entry levels. As I said, if you've got an undergraduate related to your specialisation, the course duration might be 1.5 years. Indeed, if you have significant professional experience or research experience related to your specialisation, you may also be eligible for entry level 3, which is 1-year course. The advanced practice applications in the final component of the course are something we're really proud of, and students get a lot out of, and we're just thrilled by the options students have run with and the amazing outcomes that have come of that. And the course overall gives you a specialisation, but also interdisciplinarity. So that's going to help you, that's the impetus for the course, move into strategic leadership in any of the areas up on screen, for example, where some of our graduates now work. Definitely the internships and interdisciplinary consultancy projects are something that students tend to really enjoy, and these are done with a whole host of partners in lots of different areas, because our student body, of course, is across everything from activism through Climate Council, Australian Conservation Foundation, right through to businesses. So there's a lot of breadth there for you to pick and choose from. But in addition to all the formal partnerships we have in our capstone year and all the industry guests, we offer also a whole range of extracurricular or tours of industry. So we went to Arup recently, we're also been talking to Hepburn Wind about their community innovations, so that you can start to meet people, see what's happening in the sector, see whether you would like working in this area, and just, you know, have those experiences with the professional realm that's going to help you in your career. And that includes some opportunities that we provide for you to apply to special events. For example, we send 2 to 3 students from this course to the UN Climate Change Conference each year, and also the Sustainable Development Goals Conference in New York. So there are a range of opportunities there, and you know, these kind of events and tours and partnerships in our capstone units are across a really, really broad range of areas. We know everyone's different, has different interests. As I mentioned, we have really diverse community, so this course is for everyone. You know, we've got 45 different countries represented, all possible disciplines, and a range of professional experiences and age brackets as well. So we have people, I'll give you one example. One of our students, Kaz, he's fantastic. He worked as a CEO in Japan for 25 years before wanting to move into sustainability. So we have, you know, students who are maybe as young as late 20s or mid 20s, right through to people who might be, you know, in their 60s and so forth. So that's really wonderful and valuable, I think. Yeah, we're excited about the level of industry practice in the program, and some of the specializations that we're able to offer, which aren't found elsewhere, and of course that professional networking that I mentioned. And across the course, we're also provide opportunities for you to learn across the full 17 United Nations Sustainable Development Goals. So the program has been mapped to building skills towards those goals, which I know a lot of you are really interested in. All right, so I have just rattled through quite a lot of information without getting your questions. I hope that was useful, but I'd love to right now, just in the last couple of minutes before we move into the next session, I'd love to just hear from you if you've got any questions at all. Just shout them out or type them into the chat. And I'm also going to just say, here is my email address, which I'm just typing down below. You are most welcome to email me directly with any questions you have, or to set up a Zoom to discuss the course and how it might work for you in terms of credit, in terms of specializations. Really happy to speak with you about anything you might want to discuss. But I hope that was useful. I know I just gave you a lot of information. It's a little bit overwhelming.
I think it was great, Susie. Well done. A very, very informative presentation in a very short period of time. I think we do have Ivan here from the Master of Financial Maths, so I think we're going to switch over to the next session. But once again, I'm sure all of you will be thanking me in joining me in thanking Susie for her wonderful presentation, and I'm sure she can stick around for a couple of minutes. So if you do have any questions in the chat, just put them through and she'll chat them through to you, and you can always email her as well at her email address just there. So Ivan, you may take it away. You've got half an hour. Thank you.
Hello everyone, let me just set up my slides. Can we all see my screen?
Yes,
Yep.
We're all good to go.
So I'm just going to do the presentation this way because I tried to do the full screen slideshow, but unfortunately it's being confused with my monitor setup and it's keep popping up in the wrong monitor. So we're just going to stick with this because it seems to work. Okay, so hi everyone, my name is Ivan. I'm from the School of Mathematics at Monash University. Today I'm going to talk to you a little bit about the Monash Master of Financial Mathematics. I also have another colleague with me, Jerome, who will be talking about the Master of Mathematics for in about 10 minutes or so. So hang around for that as well. So, okay, so there are a lot of slides here, but I won't be going through all of them. I'll go through the bit that's probably the most relevant to you guys. So the Master of Financial Mathematics, I'll begin by talking about roughly what is financial mathematics about and what sort of career opportunity that you can gain from studying financial mathematics. Then I'll quickly go over our team at Monash in teaching this course. And then finally, I'll talk a little bit about the specific of the Masters in terms of its course structure and units and content and so on. All right, so what is financial mathematics and what is a quant? So the word quant is used these days to address a particular type of career in which you're working as a quantitative analyst for usually a financial institution. So someone with a strong background in a quantitative discipline in terms, for example, mathematics, statistics, engineering, physics, or even computer science, working in somewhere like a bank to help them set up their data infrastructure or do mathematical analysis. So the subject of financial mathematics is a reasonably or a relatively new one compared to many other fields in maths and sciences. It's really sort of taken off in the 70s onwards, even though there's people who study various bits of it for a long time. Its birth can be mostly attributed to the famous Black-Scholes-Merton option pricing model. So this is a group of people that came up with a particular mathematical model to price a particular type of financial contract. But back then in the 70s, it became a very important piece of work that they actually won a Nobel Prize for it, which they will receive in the 90s. Ever since then, there's a sort of an explosion of the area where all the financial institutions starts actively looking for people with specialist knowledge in this field in order to help them fulfill various roles. So why do we need these people? So because over the years, the financial markets has had its fair share of up and downs. Even in recent months, there's been very, very dramatic downs and ups. Some examples including perhaps the one that everyone remembers, the global financial crisis in 2008, where it's sort of the most prominent one in recent memory that sort of had big impact across the world, perhaps less so in Australia than somewhere in the US. But essentially it's driven by sort of the housing market and the various securities and loans to do with that. And then even more recently, just this year, due to the COVID-19 situation, the market has been very crazy in March and April. We had sort of one of the biggest, sharpest declines within sort of single day periods on the S&P 500. So that's the American stock exchange within the day in March. And then immediately after that, it rebounded almost as quickly as it went down. So that was somewhat unprecedented. So there are all these different, I guess, events that occur throughout history to the financial markets. And it's very important for financial institutions to be able to understand them and then help prepare for them. Of course, we're not wizards. We're not going to predict the future on when the next crash is going to happen or the next major event is going to happen, but we can do our best to prepare, sort of to adjust various financial strategies according to these possible outcomes. Okay, in terms of technical expertise, what is financial mathematics about? It's actually a combination of a lot of different areas in mathematics, including things like partial differential equations and stochastic differential equations, as well as various areas of statistics, probability, applied and computational mathematics, as well as more emerging areas such as machine learning, data science, as well as other things like FinTech, optimization. So it's really a combination of many individual fields. In terms of this master's, what we'll try to do is give you a good exposure to a large number of them to sort of to give you foundational skills in order to sort of proceed further in these areas. One big factor with financial mathematics is about programming. In order to sort of work as a quant, you don't just need the mathematical skills, you also need programming skills. And these could be in a number of different languages, but mainly because your role in an investment, in a financial institution will be to produce pieces of code or sometimes entire machineries in order to produce their products. Okay, so some career opportunities, including the most obvious ones, will be working for investment banks on their various trading desks, on various options, financial contracts, and so on. But maybe the less obvious ones that you can also work for things such as insurance companies, superannuation companies. By the way, superannuation is an extremely big deal in Australia. I think Australia has, pretty sure it's the world's second largest pool of superannuation sitting there. And when I say second largest, the largest is the USA. Australia actually ranks second. And not only we're ranked second, we're a long, long way to third, which is Japan. So even though our population is nowhere near second, somehow our pool of superannuation fund is massive. So this is an extremely big problem for us, is how to manage all this money. There are also a lot of alternative investment firms like hedge funds, high frequency traders, and so on. You can also work for other institutions such as the government, regulators, as well as the Reserve Bank. And also there are other opportunities such as you work for the ABS, as well as various FinTech companies. So FinTech refers to sort of financial technology. Usually when people say FinTech, they think of things like Bitcoins, or they think of things like sort of robo-investing. So I don't know if you've heard of this before, but these days you don't necessarily have to go to the bank to get your financial advice. You can also engage in these online tools, which will give you financial advice based on your personal situations at a much cheaper cost. So there are a lot of new developments in this area due to the emergence of technologies. Okay, so because our time is limited, I'm going to skip ahead a little bit to the team we have at the School of Maths that teaches the financial math subjects. So we have a Center for Quantitative Finance in Monash here. There's quite a big team, but you're not going to see all of them. Some of them are adjuncts, with people who have also joint appointments in the industry. Often, even though they're not directly involved in the teaching of the masters, they're involved in various internship opportunities and research projects as well, which we will talk about now. Okay, so Master of Financial Mathematics. So skip. You can break the course down into 3 parts. There's part A, B, and C. Now the full course is a 2-year full-time course where the first 6 months is part A, then the next year is part B, and then the final 6 months is what we call part C. So part A, or the orientation studies, are essentially sort of consist of subjects that come from a typical 3rd-year mathematics degree. So it's essentially to fill in the gaps on any knowledge that you might have regarding undergraduate mathematics and or statistics, and to prepare you for the more specialist subjects in part B. In part B, you study for 1 whole year, which consists of 8 units, and these units, most of which are specifically designed for financial mathematics, some of which are core units and some of which are electives. We're always sort of revising these units on an ongoing basis. So if you want to have a quick look, I can show you on the screen, for example, some of the words you'll see in part A and B. So in part A, some units, we have things like principal econometrics. So these are units from econometrics. We have more mathematics units like PDEs, computational maths, as well as more specific financial mathematics units. Whereas in part B, we get into the real specialist subjects such as quantitative risk management. So that's a very subject that's very much focused on financial mathematics, interest rate modeling, computational finance, and so on. Okay. Part C is the interesting one. So part C for most people consists of either a research project or an industry internship, where we, if you choose the industry internship route, you'll be spending around 12 weeks usually in a firm doing an internship. So how do we get? How do you get involved in this internship? So usually you're always welcome as a student to sort of seek out your own internship opportunity, but we also have a bunch of industry partners and contacts that we can refer you to and to help you in the application process. And the idea is you're going to use this time in part C to apply what you've learned in part A and B into practice, hopefully, and work on real problems in the environment where you're actually engaging in industry. So some of our industry partners in the past has been, we have NAB, National Australian Bank. We have sort of local Victorian fund management firms. And we also had other research institutions like CSIRO, CSIRO, which is a scientific research organization. So there's a range of possible opportunities for part C. We have even had students who found their internship opportunities overseas as well. So that's also okay. Alternatively, for those who are more looking to do more academic research, there are also opportunities to do a research project for part C. So instead of working in an internship placement, you'll be working with an academic on a sort of mini research project over the same 12 weeks. But usually these are aimed at those who would like to pursue further studies in a PhD in something like that. Okay, so in terms of, I guess one question I should answer is, what sort of background do you need in order to be involved in this course? We require you to have done an undergrad degree with a heavy or with a significant focus on mathematics. So with a significant mathematical content. So that doesn't mean it has to be a Bachelor of Science with maths major. That's not necessarily true. It can be about engineering, physics, computer science, any of the other things, but it needs to have a significant component of mathematical units. So up to, I think we usually look for around a semester worth of mathematics units throughout the second and third year of your studies. And usually we really recommend this. So there are people who say, okay, maybe I haven't done that much maths, but I'm really interested. Can I get involved? Yes, but we really recommend that you have done the right level undergrad maths, because we do start you in third year level of our math program, and it will be a real struggle without that sort of additional knowledge in the middle. Okay, there are some minor study grant and scholarship opportunities for the course, which requires you to have a particular level of average mark in your studies. Also, I just want to quickly mention that we have recently developed a industry partnership in which doing our subjects will help you gain accreditation to various industry accreditation. The particular I'm talking about are these FRM, which stands for Financial Risk Management. It's a type of accreditation that usually, if you're interested, you apply for, and then you study on your own, and then you take certain exams in order to be qualified for this FRM accreditation. Whereas if you take some units with us, some of our units are recognized in aligning with their, I guess, syllabus. So that will help you towards attaining those accreditations. And also we have a partnership where each year, I think the top of our, I think it was around 6 top of our students, we can choose 6 top students who can go straight into the application round for free. So essentially we get this free application partnership with FRM. So, but in any case, there are various professional accreditation opportunities as well. Of course, some people after a program like to stick around and do a PhD for those who are academic minded. Okay, I think I'll have to stop there. And so if you have any questions, I'll be around at the end of the half an hour, and for the last 10 minutes, I'm happy to answer questions. But for up next, I think we'll have Jerome, who'll be talking to you a little bit about the Master of Mathematics as well. Okay.
Excellent. Thanks, Jerome. And thanks, Ivan. And if anybody has any questions, of course, you can always just put them in the chat as well, and we'll do our best to answer them. All right, thanks, Jerome.
I'll be around for a while, so I'm happy to answer.
Thanks, Ivan. That was great.
Okay, so should I take over now? Let me try and see if I can share my screen properly. Can you see that?
Yes, all good.
Okay, perfect. So I will take a little bit of time to talk about the second master offered in the School of Mathematics, the Master of Mathematics. The purpose of this master is less focused on the Master of Financial Mathematics, but some aspects are very similar. So I will go over essentially the broad presentation of the master. And again, as Ivan, I will be available afterwards for questions, should you have any. So the objective of the Master of Mathematics is to learn a range of advanced mathematical skills. You might have done mathematics, hopefully you've done mathematics in undergrad. If you want to go into this master, you need to have a little bit of background. The background we expect is essentially second level mathematics, the kind of mathematics you get from an engineering degree, for example. Of course, if you've done more than that, you can get into the master, and you get into the master at a higher level. In that master, you get exposure to modern mathematics, which means not only research as mentioned here, but also applications of mathematics to various industries. I will have a quick chat about that later. And mostly you will develop independence and critical thinking. You've already started doing that probably in undergrad, but the master is really the time where you develop your own independent thinking about what you're studying, about the topics, and about the content. Mathematics, I could spend a number of hours talking about why mathematics, but essentially any scientist, any engineer knows that mathematics underpins all the theory that we use in science, in engineering, and a number of applications. So we have 3 entry points similar to the Master of Financial Mathematics. Depending on your background, you will be able to enter at any of these points. The first one is if you've done only the equivalent of a minor in mathematics. As I said, if you've done an engineering degree, mostly you have the equivalent of a minor, which is 2 or 3 level 2 mathematics. Then you get into the master at the first entry point, which is, and then the program is 2 years. And as the Master of Financial Mathematics, the first 6 months, or not necessarily the first 6 months, but the not necessarily in terms of time, but the first units that you will want to take are level 3 units. That you don't necessarily have to start with them. You can spread those level 3 units over the first year, for example. It all depends on your objectives and your background, and this is something that's discussed when you start the master. If you've done a major, then you can get rid of this need to do the first 4 units at level 3, and you get straight into the master with level 5 units or level 4 and 5 units. So that's really the master level unit. And if you've done honors in mathematics, you have even 6 months or 1 semester credited for you, and the master is only 1 year long for you. There are a number of specific rules to enter, but essentially you need to have relatively good marks in math units, depending on the level that you start with. I will talk briefly about the specializations we have that essentially split in 3 categories, but I will come back to that at the end. The first one, they're very classical categories. The first one is pure mathematics. That's really the building blocks of the entire field. That's where you study mathematics, essentially for mathematics. So we have a range of types of mathematics represented in the school: algebra, analysis, combinatorics, discrete mathematics, PDEs, partial differential equations, topology. So we do cover pretty much everything or all the main fields of pure mathematics in the school. So it means that this is reflected in the units that we offer. The second specialization is applied and computational. So this is typically what you want, where you want to go if you're interested in how you use mathematics in engineering and science problems. We have a strong team in computational mathematics. We also have people doing a lot of modeling in biology, in solar physics, and also some optimization. Some of these are to some extent similar, or you've already seen them in the presentation by Ivan. So typically the optimization is something that's interesting both in mathematics in general and in financial mathematics. And the last group is really the group that Ivan talked about, statistics. So we don't see necessarily that group as under the sign of financial mathematics. In the Master of Mathematics, it's more about statistics, but in the end, the units that we consider and the people that teach those units are the same in statistics and in Master of Financial Mathematics, minus the people who are really in the financial side of things. We don't have them in the Master of Mathematics, but the most theoretical of statisticians, probabilists that teach in the Master of Financial Mathematics do also teach in the Master of Mathematics. That's about Brownian motion, random walk, stochastic analysis. So all of that mixes some concept in pure mathematics like probability, measure theory, and in more applied directions, statistics typically. The key point of the master, and that's essentially my last slide here, is the flexibility. So you've seen a number of, you've seen 3 fields in my presentation. If I go and show you a little bit like Ivan did, and I need to share that with you. Let me share my entire desktop. You should see now here the web page of the Master of Mathematics. And just to show you the types of units we have, the number of units we have. So this here shows the flexibility of the master. If you're interested in something, then there's in mathematics, then there's a high likelihood that we can offer that to some extent. And the flexibility is also found in the choice of units, the way you structure your course. And this is something that we do in discussion. So when you start the master, there is a discussion with the coordinator, which is me at the moment. And that discussion is designed to try and see what suits you the best based on your background and based on your objectives. So it's really about trying to create the master that would suit your needs the best when you start it. And then it's revised every semester. We can revise if you have another idea, if you want to change slightly your direction, this is something that we can discuss. There's also some options outside the School of Mathematics. We have the AMC Summer School. Oh, sorry. The AMC Summer School in January offers some intensive math units that students in honors, masters across Australia can take. There's also a big project unit, of course, because master always has a big research component. It can be research, it can be also industry, depending on the kind of project you're interested in. And the careers are very wide. I mean, if I start also listing them, it will be a lot, but you have, of course, academia, teaching. A number of industries are interested in hiring graduates in mathematics with advanced mathematical knowledge.